All right, welcome everyone to today's Google Webmaster Central Office Hours Hangouts. My name is John Mueller. I'm a Webmaster Trends Analyst here at Google in Switzerland. And part of what we do is talk with webmasters and publishers like the ones here in the Hangout and the ones that ask lots of questions. And today we have a special guest here in the office, Sash Meyer.
Hi, I'm Sash. I'm one of Google's top contributors over in the Webmaster Central forum. And during the day when I'm not helping out there, I fix websites that have suffered disaster from SEOs, incompetent or unethical or otherwise.
Which I assume, of course, doesn't include any of you here because you're paying attention to what we're saying. So
it's always a good thing.
That's a good way to start, yeah. All right, so we have a bunch of questions that were submitted. I'll try to go through these step by step, but we probably won't be able to get to most of them or all of them. If those of you here in the Hangout have any more questions around these topics, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, we'll have some time towards the end of the Hangout as well for anything else that's on your mind. All right.
I do.
Sorry, was it
question? Yeah. If you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
It's a question that I think you've somewhat have answered before, but I want to ask it more explicitly. And it has to do with indexing very specific internal search results on our site. So we have a very, very flat, simple category structure, like, you know, sort of 10 to 15 categories, and we have a lot of user-generated content. So we don't want to give them a lot of categories and tags that they can choose and create all these random useless pages. But what we've noticed is from our internal search, there's a few very specific queries that get searched all the time. And so we want to know, is it okay to index maybe a handful or 10 or 15 internal search results pages?
You could do that. So from our point of view, there are two things that we like to watch out for with search results pages. On the one hand, if it's completely open, then we will just crawl your server until never finished, essentially. So if you can limit that, that's a good idea. The other thing is a lot of times these internal search results pages aren't really that useful to show in search. So if someone's searching for a topic and they land on that internal search results page, and often that's not really a good experience. But if you can limit that to search pages that are useful, then that might be an option. So if you really know these are good search results pages, and essentially they're kind of like a category page, then that would be something that might be useful to actually let it be indexed.
Yeah, I should clarify. We have everything blocked by robust set text. There's maybe 10 or 20 of these searches, and we actually looked into what the results are actually showing. And but it does say at the top of the page, it says 20 of 400 search results. Like Google's not going to treat that any differently necessarily than a regular content page, because we could have that redirect to a nice content page. But we look at we compare the two, and the search results page is just as useful as a page that we could manually create. So that's not a problem.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, John. Can I ask a quick question too?
Sure.
It actually relates to that same topic. So I work for a large classified site, and we have this same internal search. So users perform the search on the site, and they have this search query string URL, and we currently no index, no follow all of those URLs. Now I was looking at the backlinks, and we have a huge amount of backlinks to these pages, and I'm just wondering whether or not we're doing the right thing by no index, no following these pages, these search pages. We have obviously the browse URLs, which are the ones that drive the SEO traffic, but I was wondering if there's a better way to, maybe we should be no index following these URLs, or eventually what I'd like to do is really map these URLs to our canonical browse ones. So when someone does a search on the site, they actually land on the browse URL.
Yeah, I think if you can kind of guide these to useful pages, then that seems like a good strategy. But like with the previous case, it's something where I think if you let all of your search essentially open like that, then we'll probably crawl a lot of stuff on your search that's kind of useless for us to show in search, and useless for you to kind of compile these search results pages and use all your server resources to do that. But if you can kind of limit that to pages that are actually useful, which people might be linking to because they think they're useful, then that's a good strategy, I think.
I've actually had this with a couple of clients in recent months, and it really is a question of just cherry picking the truly useful stuff and being very, very careful not to go over the top. It's quality rather than quantity. That's really the watchword, because and it really is a lot of people have got in trouble like this. The truly useful stuff and being very, very careful not to go over.
Sorry, have to mute you, Kate. You have a lot of echo.
And just one point then. So your recommendation is to retain the no index on these pages. Is the no follow the appropriate way to also have these pages, or should I follow these pages? So they're no index follow, or just retain them as no index, no follow?
I think for search results pages and category pages in general, having the links be followed is fine, because it helps us to find those kind of detail pages that are on your site. I'd be kind of wary about maybe not, wait, how can I phrase this? Making sure that we don't kind of follow through to your filter and your sorting and your pagination pages within the search results pages that you're providing, so that we don't kind of like branch out and crawl millions of pages that are essentially useless for your site.
That's great, thank you.
All right, let me jump through some questions here, and feel free to jump in if you have any further questions or comments regarding some of these. Interested to find out how someone can gain access to a Search Console account when a staff member has left. So essentially for Search Console, you can just verify the site again. You don't need to do anything special. It's a bit different with Search Console than with Analytics, for example, in that in Search Console, you don't lose any data if one account is kind of closed and another one is open. So you don't need to gain access to the previous account. You can just verify it again. And then a question if anyone has implemented React. I don't know. I haven't looked at the link, but it says SEO in the URL, so maybe it's good. Let's see. Lots of chat here. My website acquired lots of links from popular sites naturally over the years, but I'm lacking visitors that want to go directly to my website. Are these links hurting my rankings if I don't have loyal users of my website overall? So it seems like a weird situation if your website is collecting links naturally, meaning people are recommending your website, but nobody's actually looking at your website. So that's something I'd maybe rethink or reconsider what actually happened for you to kind of gain those links. So it's not so much that we would try to see are people actually using these links, because that's not data that we'd have, but it just from gut feeling, it's something that seems a bit awkward. If a website gains a lot of links but doesn't have any traffic, then like why are people linking to it? And if these links are unnatural links in the end, then that's something that doing a disavow on them might be a good idea.
John, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Yeah. So in natural links, is it important that they should be pointing to all internal pages, or if I am getting 95% natural links pointing to my home page only, should I think of Google might take action?
So if these are natural links, then you can't control them, right?
Correct.
So if people are linking naturally to your homepage and they think you have a fantastic homepage, or they want to recommend your business overall, then that's the way it is. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's not something that you can control. It's not
Yeah,
that you tell people you should be naturally linking to this page.
yeah, actually, I agree with you. But the thing was that after Penguin update, we do a lot of times analysis of how many links are coming to my website. And in that situation only, sometimes we feel like Google might take action if 95% links are coming to my home page only. So this was the only thing when I was thinking.
So from a manual point of view, the people that look at these are pretty good at understanding the bigger picture. And sometimes sites have a lot of links to the homepage. Sometimes sites have a lot of links to detail pages. That's kind of the way that it
I mean, again, I do a lot of manual link penalty recovery, and as far as where the links point, by and large, a lot of links will point to the homepage on average. However, it's really the type of link that you need to scrutinize rather than where they're all going, you know. And from a naturalness point of view, there's nothing you can do about where people link, and that's not something to worry about at all. Take a look at what they are in the first place, and then worry about that.
Okay, means no need to worry about it.
I mean, don't need to worry is maybe overstated, but especially if you're aware of something unnatural having happened, like a previous SEO that did something crazy with your website, then by all means look at those links and think about what they're actually doing. But like Sash said, think about what these links are rather than where they're pointing.
Thanks.
All right. Can a link from a low quality site be classified as high quality, and a link from high quality site be classified as low quality based on location, page content, and anchor text?
Ish.
Sure. I mean, this is something that it's not just like the site where it's coming from that's a problem. You could have a paid link on a really popular and important website, and it's still a paid link. So
yeah, but I mean, it's not only that. It's like if you have the high quality site, but the link is actually buried in an archive that nobody ever visits and nobody ever goes to, then it's really not a very high quality link at all, because it's just sitting in a dusty old basement, you know, out of the way. And that to me, yeah, you can absolutely have a high quality site with a low quality link. You know, I'm not so sure about the low quality site and the high quality link. That's kind of an oxymoron.
Can two websites compete in the same niche? Let's say one website has a really big user base and a few backlinks, and one website has high quality backlinks and no user base. Can they both compete for the same topics? Sure. We use over 200 factors for crawling, indexing, and ranking, and you don't have to fill out all of them. Some websites will be really good in one part, and others will be really good in a different part. I think that makes it interesting in that you don't have to do the same thing that everyone else is doing in the search results. We use Adobe Omniture, and it creates an additional incorrect on-click JavaScript link inside a link that adds a -1 to the end of each URL, creating a 404. There's no way to edit the code with Adobe software. Will Google understand to follow the first URL and not the second one that has the -1? So I'm not completely sure how this setup works, but in general, if you have two links in there and we discover one of them goes to a 404 and the other one works, then the one that works is the one that'll work for us. So as long as you have at least one link that works, then I wouldn't really worry about this. Obviously, this will create a lot of 404 errors in your search account, Search Console account. So that makes it a bit harder for you to manage that part, but it shouldn't cause any bigger problems otherwise. Maybe there are ways that you can chat with the Adobe folks to have that changed. Maybe this is just the limitation of their software. I have a question about sitemaps. I'm using a third-party tool which generates and submits my sitemaps to Google. For example, something/sitemap is empty, and instead Google is pinged with the address some hosted sitemaps /sitemaps XML. In Search Console, the property site.com, I have no sitemap submitted, but the sitemap is indexed by Google. I have a special Search Console account to submit only sitemaps connected to the hosted location. Is that okay? Yes, that essentially works. If you have one account where both of these sites are verified, then you can do cross-submission of sitemaps, where you essentially submit the URLs from one site on the host of another site. Sometimes that happens where people have a special server that generates the sitemap files based on their CMS, or a content delivery network where they want to place a sitemap file. All of these are legitimate setups, and we essentially support them all. Question about how Google is crawling pages. Why do pages like this start appearing in search results? I don't think it meets and satisfies user search criteria. Is Google testing something? So I have no idea what this URL is. But in general, from a technical point of view, we treat crawling as kind of a technical baseline thing, where we don't make a lot of judgment on like what the content actually is, because we can't know what the content is before we actually crawl it. So that's something where sometimes we will see us crawl and index weird URLs, but in general, we hope that when it comes to ranking and showing them in the search results, we show them appropriately. So if you were to do maybe a site query for that specific site or for that URL, you would probably still find it, but that's not a sign that it would appear in the normal search results. Okay, client's website was possibly penalized for duplicate content, doorway pages 5 years ago. Website has now been redesigned in the past 3 years, and Search Console is still finding 404s in thousands. According to Search Console, they're linked from the old sitemap, which doesn't exist. Is this a problem? We tried redirecting. It's not a problem. So sometimes we run across thousands or hundreds of thousands of 404s on a website, and we'll keep retrying them over the years, and that's not something you really need to worry about. We had an issue recently where we started crawling a lot more 404s than we usually do, a lot of the really old stuff, where some sites were seeing thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of 404s in Search Console. But even that is something where we say, well, these are 404s, we can deal with that. It's like a part of the web. We don't have to do anything special. With regards to a site being possibly penalized like 5 years ago, do you have any tips?
It depends on what the penalty was in the first place. If it's a link penalty, turn around, go through your, well, first of all, go into your Search Console and check to see whether there's a manual action in place in the first place. If there isn't and you're still worried, go through your link profile with a fine-tooth comb and just make a disavow file of everything that you're really not comfortable to be linking to you. On the on-site side of things, actually go through your site and cut out all the dead wood, cut out all the thin content, think about what your visitor wants, think about what your client wants, answer their questions, and solve their problems, and really work on being a resource rather than just a billboard like 10 million other billboards in your same market sector.
Yeah.
John,
sometimes it's not, I think, especially if it's something that has been kind of like growing steadily over the years. But if you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I started cleaning it up 3 years ago, then you're probably on the right track. But really being critical of your content, of your links, I think is really.
That's it. Think you have to look at your eyes through your visitors. Look at your site through your visitors' eyes. I know it's a lot of webmasters and a lot of business people I speak to. It's like, well, my baby's the prettiest, and it's very hard for them to actually be objective about their own websites. And my advice can occasionally be quite harsh sounding to their ears because I have a total outside standpoint. So try and take an objective view of your site rather than the, oh, it's my site, it's my puppy, you know, and it's the bestest.
Okay, next question here. I've checked out the window. Wait, I checked the window. Next thing. This seems to refer to some other question.
I'm not sure that's not a bot.
Okay, Tone.
Guys, can I ask a question? Can I be rude and ask a question?
All right, go for it.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to talk to you, John. Oh my God, just have to try and breathe. Okay, so a lot of the people who, fangirl here, a lot of the people that I work with are small businesses and they're all freaking out now that Google AdWords has changed the ranges with the keyword tool. What methods would you suggest for those guys who just can't afford to have a weekly spend on AdWords for them to find some good keywords and the traffic behind those keywords?
Good question. I don't have a perfect answer for that. So I know that on the one hand, the AdWords people were having a lot of trouble with various people and bots using that data. So that's, I kind of understand their point of view, but I also understand your point of view in that a lot of legitimate businesses were also using this as a way to better understand what their clients are looking for. So things that I usually recommend are maybe the more broader things like Google Trends to kind of understand what's happening out there. Look at your own statistics in Search Console. I know we've been in discussion with folks in Search Console about maybe finding a way to provide this data there, but that's more of a long-term thing that will probably take a bit of time. So I don't really have a perfect answer as a replacement for the keyword tool.
I find that with if you're dealing with an established business, it's actually, I won't say it's easier, but it's slightly more straightforward in that you have an audience you can actually survey, and if you put together the right sort of quick fire surveys to actually send to your existing clients, to your existing audience, and maybe have a carefully have a pop-up survey on your actual website, you can gather a lot of data that way that you wouldn't otherwise get. Of course, this does not help you at all if you're a new business, because then that's a resource just not available to you.
So another thing that I've seen people do is use Google consumer surveys, which is a really fast way to kind of get survey data from a broad audience. I don't know if that actually surveys like the UK audience or if it's just the US audience at the moment, but it might be a way to kind of get some quick feedback from a broader group of people. All right. Perfect. And if any of you that are watching this have tips and ideas, feel free to post them in the comments of the Google Plus post so that other people can kind of jump in and try those out as well. All right. So some questions about AMP, which is awesome. AMP has now rolled out for non-news queries. Awesome. See, awesome. My AMP homepage is showing up for mobile queries already, but I don't know if I should link my internal navigation on AMP pages to other AMP pages, or can I link to the regular mobile responsive pages? That's a good question. I don't have a perfect answer for you there. I know a lot of sites link to their regular mobile pages so that when people come in through AMP, they can navigate to the rest of their site fairly easily, because a lot of sites don't have all content available on AMP yet. If you're talking about your homepage being on AMP, then that suggests maybe you're a little bit ahead of the curve and you have your whole website on AMP, which is really neat too. But I don't actually know what the best recommendation there is. Part of this is also because the AMP page that you will have shown in the search results will be hosted on the Google cache. So the links, at very least, need to be absolute links to somewhere within your content so that they work. My other question is about Google's algorithm to take into account local laws and regulations. For example, I have a YMYL client, and I realize that they're missing some important legal disclosure on their site, and this might be hurting them in search. Is it possible to get a comment on this? So with regards to disclaimers and kind of local requirements, that's usually not something that we take into account when it comes into search. We take the content as we find it on the web, and we try to rank that in a relevant way. So it's not that our algorithms would explicitly try to figure out, oh, this website is about stock trading, therefore it needs to have this explicit disclaimer on it for users in the US, and this disclaimer for users in the UK, and this one for the EU, and this one for another country. That's not what our algorithms do. That's something that ultimately users might be doing, in that when they come to your site and they think, oh, this is like unprofessional, it doesn't look like they know what they're talking about, then users might react to that and then indirectly might go somewhere else, and they might not recommend your site, they might not convert on your site.
My question here is, I mean, if I find something like this with a client, I automatically correct it. Or tell them that this is a problem and they might get sued. That's always a danger with disclaimers and stuff. So the SEO here wouldn't even enter my frame of thinking, because this can directly affect and even kill a business if it's not in place. So fix it. It's very simple.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they fixed it already, or they noticed it at least, which is
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. We're getting some clients who are not certified surgeons, but they want to rank their website on Google for keywords like plastic surgeon. Okay, calm down. Does it affect the ranking whether the surgeon is certified or not? Is there any negative news about surgeons? And so, again, from a search point of view, we're not going to like double check their papers and see if a presidential candidate was born in the US or if it's a certified surgeon or not. We're going to try to rank these pages as they come to us. But again, users might see it differently. There might be legal issues as well, where I think, especially when you're talking about a surgeon, it seems kind of iffy to kind of promote a business.
You need a good disclaimer too.
Yeah. Does an HTTP error 803 or 503 affect the SEO of a website? So I had to look up 803 beforehand. I didn't actually know what that was, which means it's probably not that common of an issue. But 503 and 803 look like they're server type errors with regards to getting the response out to the user, which could be Googlebot in this case. So if the content doesn't reach Googlebot because you're serving a server error, then of course we can't use that content in search. So of course this would affect the SEO of a website. 503 is a bit of a special case in that it's clearly defined as a temporary error, in that our systems will recognize this and say, oh, it didn't work now, we'll try again later. So they won't take the error content and say, oh, we need to remove this URL from the search results completely because it's broken, but they'll retry a few times. And then if consistently we see a 503, then at some point we'll say, well, this website seems to be really gone. Maybe we should take these pages out.
The 503 specifically is something I've seen a lot over the years, where people conduct some sort of maintenance and the server throws up a 500, and of course the 500 basically says my server is melting, whereas the 503 is more of a maintenance thing. So it's much better to serve a 503 if you're doing anything than really the standard 500, which is what tends to happen.
Yeah. And with the 503, you can also specify like a retry time frame. So if you know your maintenance is going to take a day, then let us know that it'll take a day, and then Googlebot will wait a bit longer and retry then. But again, if you do a maintenance over the course of a month and you keep serving 503, then Googlebot is going to say, well, there's really nothing happening here.
Quite enough,
We're going to give it up.
And John, if in one page I have used 503 for a long time, I did not know, or Google has decided that let us just remove this page, because many times we have found this 503. So when I again change this page status, ranking will come on the same, Google will bring the ranking on the same place, or again I will have to start from 0 point.
So if you reuse a URL that was gone before?
Yeah, if I after a long time Google has removed my page, I have been giving 503, and after some time I have just rectified this issue.
So if the page has been removed completely and it comes back, then we will treat it as a new page. So it's something where there's probably a mix based on the internal linking on what we do there. But for the most part, we'll see that as a new page.
New page means not like no index tag.
Less like that, yeah. But I mean, this is a type of situation where you, I think, always need to be careful if you want to remove a page temporarily and you know you want to bring it back again. That's something you always kind of need to make sure you handle it properly, so that we can actually pick up that page again afterwards.
Okay, thanks.
What sort of signals are transferred to my site from a do follow link on a high quality site? Is it PageRank, anchor text, context, and domain quality as well? We collect a lot of signals and we try to forward what makes sense through links. In general, we don't go into the details of what specifically we would pass there. So PageRank, obviously, if it's a do follow link, but past that, it really depends on our algorithms and what they think of this specific situation. Can I use reviews added to my business Google Plus page on my website? From my point of view, sure. I mean, this is something where if you're getting reviews from people and these are legitimate reviews, then why not highlight them? With regards to structured data markup for reviews, you'd need to watch out for the guidelines there with regards to the source of the reviews, so that that's kind of taken into account. But if you don't want to mark these up with structured data, right, do whatever you think makes sense. With regards to permission from the author of the reviews, I don't actually know. Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, once the review is part of the Google review system or Yelp or wherever you're going, it's basically in the public domain. So as long as you are linking to the original source, you should have absolutely no problem from a legal standpoint, because it's already out there publicly indexed on the internet, and it's not behind any kind of wall. So, you know, regular rules apply. Use your common sense, link to the original source, and you're good to go.
And just as a quick disclaimer, we obviously can't give you legal advice. So if you think there's a legal issue with any of these answers that we give you, make sure to check them with your local lawyer, that you really have the right legal answer there. So I suspect it's the same as what Sash said, but just to be clear. Our business changed from selling X to selling Y back in October 2014. We 404'd and 410'd all the old pages and disallowed links, but we're still seeing them at the bottom of the search results pages. Old searches related to our company back when we used to sell X as opposed to searches for products we now sell. Could there be a problem? Could this be affecting our rankings? Our rankings for selling Y have been struggling. So in general, we treat the ranking based on the individual items and the relevance of the website for that. So if you go from selling X and suddenly you're also selling Y, then like the queries for Y will be something that will be treated separately. So even if you kind of drop X and don't sell X anymore and only sell Y now, the queries for Y will essentially be separate queries for your content. And this is something that is usually a normal part of an evolution of a business. You pick up new products, you change your theme slightly, you change your direction a bit. Sometimes you change your direction a lot. And just because of that, you wouldn't see like the new things being less relevant for your website if they really are relevant. So if you're seeing that the queries or your site is struggling for those queries, then that would probably be a more general thing rather than an X and Y type of issue.
What I am wondering is why the old pages are still showing up if everything was 404 and 410. Makes me kind of wonder if something wasn't missed in the process there somewhere.
Yeah, I guess one reason why that might happen is if you block these by robots text as well. In that case, we wouldn't see the 404s and 410s or 410s. So that's something we sometimes see. But in general, just changing your business focus, that's life. And even if you stop selling one product and only sell something else, I suspect there'll be quite a bit of time where people searching for your business name and the old product will still see your website, because we kind of think, well, this was really relevant for this topic back then. So if someone is explicitly looking for it, maybe we should just show it to them.
And John, can I ask another question, please? It's to do with the refinement panel links. We have some URLs, some refinements which are useful, and some which aren't. So the ones which aren't, for example, for our motors category, engine size from 1,000 to 2,000 engine size, we have a parameter, and then that parameter is canonicalized to then, for example, the car's URL. I was looking at the log files, and the log files show that you're basically crawling these parameterized URLs quite a lot, but they don't obviously generate visits. And we're looking at to improve our the crawl of the site. And would you recommend us blocking these URLs in the robots.txt file altogether so they're not crawled?
No.
Okay.
That's an easy answer. So if you block them in the robots text file, then we will still think they exist, and we might try to index them without any of your content. Whereas if we can crawl them, then we can see the rel canonical, or we can see whatever else you have on your website that is like the same to the else, and then we can fold them together. So that's the type of situation where I'd use the robots text if it's really a technical problem that crawling causes a load on your server that you can't handle. But otherwise, I'd let us crawl these so that we can recognize that we could fold them together. All right, let's see. Question here. We currently have duplicate links in navigation and site-wide footer. For example, contact us. Should we no-follow the site-wide footer links so we're not diluting PageRank? And if not, is there any circumstances where you should no-follow site-wide footer links? So in general, I'd kind of shy away from using no-follow on that granular of a level, because that's not really going to change anything for your website with regards to crawling, indexing, and ranking. So one of the issues we sometimes see here is that people will no-follow things like their terms of service or their contact us page, and suddenly we can't find it at all. which is a bigger problem. But duplicate links is absolutely no problem for us. Anything within your website that you think should be crawled and indexed should just have normal links on it. The one place I would use nofollow is if you have a kind of an infinite calendar script where you can scroll to the year 20,000, I don't know, whatever, and essentially just always have like next year, next month, next day button, then those are the kind of links that you might want to nofollow, because that's something where we might get stuck just crawling your calendar forever. When Google considers a website for safe search, meaning Google thinks the domain or some of the content should be filtered, does this have any effect on the search results and for users who didn't activate safe search? Usually not. So if people don't have safe search activated, we tend to show the same things there. We do have some algorithms that try to avoid surprising users with unexpected adult content. So even if they don't have safe search activated, then we don't want to provide results that they wouldn't expect. But if you explicitly look for that kind of content, then of course that content will rank normally. We improve crawlability and user experience. One of the measures would be that we reduce the paginated pages by at least 50% and make each article preview in the example below containing one link instead of 3. In total, this would lead to thousands of internal links being cut. Can we somehow tell Google that Google likes these changes? How should Google react to that? I don't quite understand exactly what kind of change you're making there. But in general, if you can work to kind of create fewer pages and stronger pages, then that's usually a pretty good strategy, provided you're not kind of losing important detail pages that people are looking for explicitly. But if you can fold some of these pages together and make fewer URLs with reasonable amounts of content on them that are really high quality pages and that can stand on their own, then that's usually a pretty good strategy. I know you don't want to give out all of Google's secrets. True. But does a page rank right away when you update its content, or is there a delay which is based on the strengths of the page? I don't actually know.
How long is a piece of string? I mean,
yeah, I mean, for some things, when we feel that it's really important, we will crawl and index a page very quickly, and that could be within minutes of it going live. For other things, when we see something change on a website that, I don't know, we see a change maybe once a year, and we see that change on that page, then we're not going to spin up the high-speed indexing system to pick that change up and show it in the search results as quickly as possible. So that's, I guess, kind of a rough split there, but there's lots of room in between. So
what kind of site is it on? How is it linked to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
no definitive answer to that one.
Yeah, so I guess is it possible? Yes, it's possible that we have really fast systems. A lot of the people here work really hard on making sure that when something new comes out and it's critical, that we can pick that up within seconds and show it in the search results, which is really, I don't know, it always surprises me when I see that, like the label published 5 seconds ago or something like that. But that's just because we can do that doesn't mean that it's always the case for all pages. Can you comment on the recent change with local search 3-pack and Google Maps update that's being affectionately called the Possum update that occurred early in September? It seems now Google is filtering similar businesses. I don't really have any information on the local side of things or on the map side, so don't really have anything interesting to add there. It's nice that it got a name. I'm sure the folks here appreciate.
So cute and cuddly.
Possum. I don't know.
Especially as it's being called Orca internally, but that's neither here nor there.
Orca. I don't know about that. Hreflang implementation. Any concerns implementing the tags in the HTML header for regular pages versus PDF non-HTML pages? No, you can do it on HTML. You can do it on PDF, whatever you think might make sense for the hreflang. The important part is really that we can confirm that bidirectional relationship between the individual items in the pair.
John, regarding hreflang tag,
Sure.
you have told us many times that in weekends sometimes Google does some kind of testing. So many times I have seen that on Saturday and Sunday my hreflang tag is not working, but from Monday onwards it again starts working. So when Saturday, Sunday it is not working, I feel like there is some technical issue or not. So is it possible that it happens from Google end?
I don't think we would do tests on just turning off things like that. So that seems more like something where maybe we're not able to pick up the hreflang tag properly. One thing you could do if you have, for example, a complicated page where the head of the page isn't necessarily always clear, is to move the hreflang tag to a sitemap file where we can always pick that up, where we don't have this problem of parsing the head of the page to see, does the JavaScript on the page change where the hreflang tag is located once we've rendered the page, for example. So for complicated setups, for sites that use a lot of JavaScript, that maybe have, I don't know, tracking setups that change the head of the page when the page is loaded in the browser, that's something that might be an option, to just say, I don't like, I just want to make sure that the hreflang is picked up regardless of whatever happens with the rendering of my page.
Okay.
For mobile friendly, on separate URLs, the cross-page annotation is required. Just double checking as a client may be able to put in redirects for mobile users, but annotation may be trickier. So yes, I would definitely make sure you follow our guidelines there so that we can pick that up properly. Ideally, I would even consider, if this is a new website that's being put up, maybe seeing if you can't go towards responsive or dynamic serving after all, because having one URL always makes things a lot easier for everything. Will web pages with JavaScript overlay gates face the same penalization as pages with interstitials? So I don't know what a JavaScript overlay gate is, but it sounds a lot like an interstitial. So if it looks like an interstitial, then we will treat it as an interstitial. All right, we still have a bunch of questions here, but we're kind of running towards the end of the time. So I think it's time to just open it up for more comments and questions from you all here.
I have an interesting question that I've never heard asked in any of these Hangouts, and it has to do with the ranking of social media pages. More of just morbid curiosity than anything. I've noticed some odd results when you're specifically looking for like business pages from Facebook. They will, a lot of times, like a really old page will rank. Doesn't seem to have a lot of links to it, but it'll rank really high, and you click on it and it was last updated in 2012 or something like that. But that either the same business or another business with a similar name that's active won't rank as high. So my question is, are social media pages or Facebook in particular ranked a lot different than regular websites or web pages?
No, not that I'm aware of. So this is something where we find these pages online, we rank them like normal web pages based on the content and all the other signals that we have there. Similar with links, like from social media. If these are normal links, we will follow them. A lot of social media sites, because it's user-generated content, use no follow on them. So of course they're no followed. but we treat these like any other web page that we find out there. All right, more questions from any of
Yeah,
you?
John, since
Yes.
Barry is not here, so I just wanted to ask this question. Is there any update on Penguin rollout?
I don't have any update to share at the moment. So I suspect the team is getting closer and closer, but it's nothing that I can share at the moment.
Okay.
All right, so many faces here, so many new faces. What else is on your mind? Nothing? Okay.
Sound of silence.
Let me just grab another question here then, I guess. I wanted to ask this question for almost a half a year. Okay, so it's good we got to this. We have not been very strict for user-generated content on our website in the last couple of years, low-quality forum posts, etc. And I suspect this is the reason why Google demoted our website from 180,000 daily to 70,000 daily. I want to ask, over an example, we have a biography page of Sir Isaac Newton, which was created in 2008 and received a lot of impressions and used to rank #1 for Who is Newton in Turkish. After January 2016, it's listed on page 14. Some of the sites that have made exact copies are ranking much higher. Does this mean we're no longer original source for that page? Is it possible that some Google algorithm like Panda is holding us back? Will we ever recover? So if we look at a website and across the board, our quality algorithms are saying that on average, this website is kind of low quality, then we will have trouble showing some of the pages from that website very highly in the search results. So that's something where, like you mentioned, if you have a lot of user-generated content and you suspect a lot of that content is low quality, then maybe it's worth finding a way to kind of rein that in and to clean that up so that our algorithms, when they look at your website overall, recognize there's a lot of great stuff here. We should be showing it high in the search results.
So again, from my end, from penalty recovery, any situation like this, is normally the underlying cause will be something else. It's not your page about Newton that the site will physically have other problems, like John just said. In this case, it sounds like overall quality. Yeah, so you've basically answered your own question.
All right, so more questions from any of you? Oh, wait.
Yeah. Can I ask one question, John? Hello?
Go for it.
Okay. See, John, actually, for very important keywords, by now I was working on my home page and it was very good for all the keywords. It was ranking. But due to some marketing decisions of the company, now I have decided to create one folder page for all those kind of searches because marketing team have to share home page. But the thing is that there is no any guideline like if I do this kind of thing, my ranking will not be dropped because there will be so many backlinks for that home page. And now SEO department wants to create separate page where it is completely optimized for users and search engines. So the problem is coming that I am completely not sure whether or not to go with the different page. However, for long term, I know that this is very much requirement for us. But same time, I also don't want to lose any ranking.
So if you make significant changes on your website, they will be reflected in search, and you might see changes in ranking. It's something where there is no guarantee that you can just take a piece of content and put it somewhere else and your website will rank in the same way. In general, we can recognize these kind of shuffling around of content. It's very common that sites do that. But it's also a case where you can't guarantee that you will still be ranking the same way afterwards. The other thing I might watch out for, I don't know if that's the case in your situation. Sometimes I see people go off and create essentially doorway pages for the individual keywords that they want to rank for. And that, of course, is usually a bad strategy. That's something that our algorithms will try to recognize. That's something that the web spam team will try to recognize and see, oh, these pages were just created for SEO to target this specific keyword. Actually, like they don't have any real use within the internet overall. So if you're really just moving like things that were really important and good on your homepage onto a separate page, I see less of a problem there. You probably will see some changes in ranking, but it's not that we would see that as doorway pages. But if you're taking keywords that used to go to your homepage and now you create 100 different pages for each of those keywords, then of course that's a typical doorway page scenario.
No, it is not like creating doorway pages, but for a requirement, actually, we wanted to leave homepage.
Yeah, I mean, marketing sometimes has interesting opinions with regards to what should be on a homepage. And sometimes that clashes with what makes sense for SEO.
Yes.
So that's life. I think that's always a part of the challenge of working on a larger website. It's not just a technical thing. It's working together with all of these different teams that all have their own opinions on what should be on the homepage.
And this is why I just want to think like the sooner I do this, the better it is for us, rather than thinking later to go move for it.
I mean, it's good to think about these situations. There are a lot of websites that just remove the content from the homepage because marketing says they don't want it anymore, and then they wonder like, where did my ranking go? Because if the content isn't there, then we can't rank it. So at least you're taking that content and putting that somewhere else, which is really important thing to do.
Okay, thanks. Means for some time there might be some change in ranking. If
I would expect that, yeah. Especially if you're moving something from a home page to somewhere else. If you're just moving things around, like on lower level pages, usually that doesn't change a lot of things. But the home page for us is kind of an important place. And if you're kind of taking important things out of the home page and moving them somewhere else, then that's something we kind of have to relearn with our algorithms.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's take a break here. It's been great having you all here again. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll set up the next batch of Hangouts later today, probably, and we'll try to figure something out with the questions so that we don't just run out of time and have tons of questions left over. In the meantime, when I have the new Hangout set up, feel free to copy and paste your question to the new Hangout if you're still looking for an answer. So with that, let's say goodbye, and thanks for coming. Hope
Yeah, bye,
to see you
John.
all again.
Bye, Sash.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.